going to be talking about a story in Iraq. 2006, I was an Army infantry soldier deployed, and when we were walking alongside the road to clear a suspected IED, the insurgent terrorist watching the road detonated the bomb right next to me. Thank you for all the new subscribers, the likes, the comments. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe so you can hear my stories. I'll be putting out each week on Thursdays. I like all the comments and new people joining along. I appreciate it. I appreciate the following. I appreciate the support. It helps show me that you guys want to hear my stories, so I really appreciate it. Alright, this story takes place in Iraq. Deployed as an Army infantry soldier. We were doing combat patrols every day. We'd go out and either go to villages to do a leader engagement where we would talk to the tribal leaders, or we would just talk to each person in the village and see what they needed, supplies, food, water, or we would try and make contact with the enemy, whoever that may be. Different enemies in different areas. Some areas had Al-Qaeda, some had Mahdi militia, some had just smaller local insurgent groups. Every area kind of dealt with different kinds of people. So on this particular day, we went out of our patrol base and took a left onto this main road. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was Chinooks or something, or Canucks, one of the hockey teams. All of our roads were based off hockey teams. So we take a left on Route Canucks or Chinooks, and we're going down this road that we had been down before, but we had hit a lot of IEDs on this road. You drive down the road on the left and right, you would see craters every little bit on the left and right from previous blasts. At this time, our company, we were getting hit every few days. Somebody in our company was hit. It may not have been us directly, but another platoon was getting hit by an IED. That we'd found an IED. We stopped in front of it, called EOD to detonate an IED. It was just a few times a week that somebody in our company was dealing with it. So we're driving down the road, and I am dismounting this time in the lead vehicle. That means I'm riding in the back seat. We had a driver, truck commander, gunner, and dismounts. So whenever we got to an objective, when the lieutenant and the platoon sergeant would get out to do our objective, the dismounts would get out and walk alongside and to provide security, to be the immediate first responders if any shots rang off or anything. So I'm riding in the back, and we're driving down this road. And all of a sudden, we're driving at a normal pace, a normal kind of slow patrol pace, and we see a farmer off to the right-hand side that is kind of working in the field, and all of a sudden he kind of goes like this, and then goes back to digging, and he's looking around, and then I was like, hold up, slow up. Started slowing down the vehicle. See that guy over there? He's is he flagging us down? And the guy, my lieutenant in front of me, looked over, and we see him again. He goes like this, and then he goes digging again. Yeah, that's kind of weird. It looks like he's flagging us down. So we, my lieutenant said, let's go talk to him, see what's going on. So vehicles come to a stop in the middle of the road, and dismounts all get out. 2 guys of each truck, plus the lieutenant. I think the platoon sergeant stayed back. So a few of us got out and walked over to where this guy was in the middle of the field. So we started talking to him. We had the interpreter with us, and the guy basically he said, last night I saw the bad guys, Al-Qaeda, that are not from this area. I saw them in the middle of the road, just ahead of where you are, burying a bomb last night. They went under the road or dug under the road, in the middle of the road, and there's a bomb up ahead. My lieutenant's sure, you're not just saying this, and he was really sketchy. He wanted to hide behind some trees to tell us. He felt like they were watching him at this point. Somebody was watching this area, and even if he was telling us that there was a bomb there, then his life was in danger. And they would kill people, execute them for helping the Americans. So this guy was helping us out, but he was also in fear for his life. So we took his words, his tip, and we decided to respond accordingly. So we walked back to the trucks, and our lieutenant said, all right, we need to clear this as if we suspect there's an IED, which I need you to go into a inverted V formation in order to clear for roadside bomb. So we had a SOP, standard operating procedure, that if we spotted a bomb or we suspected a roadside bomb was up ahead, then dismounts would get out and we would perform a V formation. And the furthest guy away from the road would be like 300 meters out from the road, and the next guy would be like 100 meters but closer to the road and back, and then the last two guys would be like 10-15 feet off the road. So it was like a V shape going all the way out. And the reason for this is we were hope that the guys furthest out and furthest along the road would maybe make contact with the trigger man if he's sitting there. They would usually sit 300 yards off the road and wait for a convoy to come by and detonate. So hopefully that those two lead guys would come into contact with a trigger man or cause them to take off and not detonate the bomb. And then the next two guys back would be a little closer to either see the roadside bomb or to see the trigger man if the first two guys missed it. And the last two guys, if all else fails, then the last two guys would be watching the road to try and find any undisturbed dirt to find a spot where IED could be. So on this day, I was the last guy on the right-hand side, closest to the road. So we start walking, and at first, nothing's going on. We're just walking slowly. I'm scanning. I'm looking at the road. So I'm like 10-15 feet off the road, looking at the road, and it's slightly elevated. It's probably like the cement is probably like to my shoulder height, and then it goes down a little bit, and I'm walking alongside of it, looking to see if I can see any disturbed dirt. And we're walking along. Middle of the day. It's hot, sweaty, tired like usual. And as we're walking, all of a sudden out of nowhere, massive explosion. Boom! Right next to me on the road. Massive explosion. Boom! Middle of the road, mushroom cloud, giant explosion. I fall to the ground, land on my stomach to like react from the blast, and all the debris is starting to fall on me, like hit me in the head, the chunks of road. And I actually thought I was like being shot at. I thought like there was gunshots, and because it felt like a bunch of sounds like, you know, like bullets impacting, but it was just all the debris from the explosion all landing on top of me, on my head, on my back. And you know, as I start to realize what just happened, I'm like, you know, looking around, seeing everybody's all right, and I realized that I was just the closest one. Like the next guy was a little bit further up. He was fine. He also fell to the ground just to get in like in a defensive position. A lot of times, if they detonated a roadside bomb, they would follow up with an ambush. They would either shoot or launch mortars from the side. So our like first reaction is like just to hit the dirt. And so once like the kind of calms down a little bit, there's a big giant smoke cloud in the air, and debris stops falling. So what the guy had done, like he was, I don't know where the trigger man was, but he had waited, and he was like, all right, well, if I can't get the vehicles, I'm just going to wait till there's a guy closest to it, and I'm going to detonate, and maybe I can get him, which was me. So when I was closest to it, he detonated, thinking maybe he could kill me with that bomb, but luckily it was elevated, and for whatever reason, the explosion blast went straight up instead of out. If it was more of an outward explosion, I could have been hit with more like shrapnel debris, but luckily it went straight up, so I was just hit with like pieces of road and stuff, which, you know, didn't take any significant damage. So we look around, everybody's yelling around, you alright? We're yelling to the guy up there, you good? I'm good, you good? Like, alright, and right as that happened, all of a sudden another explosion. Boom! Like right over here to the right, 100 yards away. Explosion. Boom! Now we're like looking this way, like what the heck is going on? Turn to the right, and just a little smoke cloud over there. A couple minutes later, like we're yelling, like, what should we do? What are we doing? Boom! Another explosion, like 100 yards that way. They were launching mortars. So one mortar landed over here, exploded. Another one landed ahead. And I'm like telling you, get to the trucks, get back to the trucks. So the trucks are back on the road, which had never gotten to the point of the explosion. So we ran back to the trucks, get in the trucks just to shield ourselves from the mortars. And a few minutes later, boom! Like literally right where we were just laying at, another one landed. And we get back in the trucks and, check everybody's all right. I was checking, men, weapon, equipment. Do you have all of our men? Do we have all of our weapons? Do we have all of our equipment? We do a sensitive item check. Everybody's good. Didn't lose any gear. We have all of our people. And we call up to the company commander who's back at the base. Hey, tell him what's going on. What do we do? Like, can we get out of here? They're launching mortars at us. And he's like, no. We have to wait for EOD to come out, Explosive Ordnance Detachment or team, to come out and do a post-blast analysis. Every time there's an IED strike, EOD has to come out and check for a post-blast analysis, and to check the scene to make sure there's not a secondary IED, to understand what type of bomb it was. So we told the commander that. He's like, you got to sit out there and wait for EOD. And we're like, but they're launching mortars at us. He's like, well, your vehicle's up armored, right? We're like, yeah. So we're like, all right, well, wait for EOD. So we're sitting there, and I think like two more landed. Boom, another one. And then a few minutes later, boom. And like we were just, we're sweating, just praying that it's not going to be our day, that it doesn't land on top of our truck and kill us. And luckily, none of them did. They all kind of landed too far away from the road to really be a threat. And eventually the mortar stopped and EOD came out there and they did a post-blast analysis. They said it was a few 155 round mortar rounds, or I'm sorry, artillery rounds that were tied together with like a makeshift charge, and that was what detonated the IED. And it was a remote detonated, so there was not a command wire that we wouldn't have been able to see, and it was done by like a cell phone or something. So the guy was probably on top of a building watching the whole time, and like I said, he just waited until somebody got close enough and just tried that. He probably was trying to hit our trucks, and when we saw that we got out, he's like, all right, I'll just try and get a person then. But so thank God it wasn't close enough, or it didn't cause any significant damage. So we waited till EOD got there, did the post-blast analysis, and I think we went on for the day. We still had hours of patrol left, so we just left that site and just continued on with our day. So that was that story. Almost getting hit by a roadside bomb. If you like the story, please like, subscribe, comment. Comment if you know a military veteran. Comment if you have a cool war story. Comment if you want to hear a certain story from me. Appreciate you guys following along for the ride. Next week I'll tell another story. I might take a poll of what kind of story you guys want to hear. But thanks for following along. Take care and God bless.